Hey everyone, today we're at Mandarake in Shibuya and we're going to be hunting for rare model kits. Let's check it out. So this is an amazing shop. They have a huge selection of figures, plastic model kits, resin model kits, magazines and books, so much cool stuff, and we're going to go through all of it, all the different stuff I found, and talk about it. So why don't we get into it? So first you're going to go down the stairs here, and when you go in you're going to see all these video games, you're going to see soundtracks, anime, you're going to see playing cards, trading cards, all kinds of stuff. But this hallway here is where the model kits begin. All the way in the back of the store, they've got this really nice display cabinet. They've got several display cabinets actually, full of all kinds of figures and everything. But first, we're going to talk about this section of the store. This might actually be my favorite section of the store. They basically have like a Gundam model kit book library. I shouldn't say just Gundam because they've also got figure modeling books, other franchises, but there was so much amazing stuff. Starting out with these Mobile Suit Gundam the Motion Picture art books. Now these are really cool. I haven't seen these before and they were for a pretty decent price. It's just I really wanted to focus on picking up model kit books specifically, so I did end up passing up on these. This is an interesting one I had also never seen before. The MJ Material 10 Double Zeta book. This looked pretty cool. And of course we have here Advance of Zeta, the cult classic. This one looked pretty cool as well, and it was quite a deal less expensive than you would find it on eBay, so that's nice. And this one really blew my mind. I've been looking for this for a long time, and this was the cheapest thing I found in the store that day. This was only 200 yen. That's like $1, and on eBay this goes for $30 to $40. And I absolutely love the GPO2, so I was so excited to get this. Even though it did have a little bit of sun fading on the spine and a tiny bit of water damage, it was well worth it. This was super cool too. This is the Gundam Virtual Modeler Pro Perfect Manual. Actually, what it really is a piece of Gundam software from the mid-90s that actually lets you go ahead and create these like old school low poly 3D models of Gundams, and then you can kind of use it to create art. It's very cool. Like this is an example of the art you can create. It's such an interesting like vaporwave aesthetic. I am really excited. I'd like to do a video all about this at some point if I can get the software up and running and really document it, because it just seems so interesting. And next up we have some Gundam Weapons books. I was really happy to find this. This is Gundam Weapons Gunpla Love. For some reason in the US on eBay, this one is actually quite expensive, coming in at around $60 or so, but here it was only the equivalent of about $16, so that was cool. And here we have some Gundam Hobby Life. This is a really cool magazine. It's a lot newer, so it has a lot more modern building styles. What else do we have here? Okay. This Gundam Sentinel book is fantastic. I already own a copy, but I highly recommend it for anybody interested in old school Sentinel builds. And this is one I had never seen before. This is a Gunpla catalog from 2013. And here we have a bunch of the Gundam Wars books. These are really, really amazing books with fantastic old school builds from modelers like Kobayashi and so on. Really, really interesting stuff. Lots of scratch building from the 80s and 90s. Highly recommend that series. You can't go wrong with it. And then moving on here, we have Model Graphics Gundam Archives. Now, I had done some research while editing this video, and I learned that these are actually really cool compendiums of all sorts of model graphics models that were built between like the 80s, 90s, all the way up to more modern issues of model graphics. So I kind of regret not picking one of those up because I mostly own Hobby Japan, but different modelers tended to work on model graphics. Of course, there was a lot of overlap between modelers, but it's just different people, different styles, different photography, and yeah, I'd love to own some more model graphics stuff and add to my collection, so maybe I'll go back and pick one or two of those up at some point. And last but not least, rounding out the model graphics archives, we have this issue on Gundam Sentinel, which is very cool. I'm just as big of a fan of the Gundam Sentinel designs as anybody else, so this one was really cool to see, and it actually goes for a little bit on eBay, almost going up to $70, so that was kind of surprising. Okay, this next one is really, really, really good. This is Max Works, Max Watanabe Mobile Suit Works. It's an amazing book. If I could recommend you guys pick up one book, if you don't have any in your collection, I would say get this. I actually did a separate review on this on my Vintage Gunpla channel, which I'll have a link to right here. I highly recommend you guys check this out. He's an amazing modeler, and yeah, you can't go wrong with this one. Moving on here, this is another one I ended up picking up because it was super cheap and just kind of interesting to me. This is Gundam Weapons Amphibious Mobile Suit Special Edition, where it's got all the different suits that go underwater, and it was only about $4 US. And yeah, on average, most of these go for about like 30 to 40 on eBay, so I figured why not pick it up, so I threw that one in the basket. And this is the original How to Build Gundam. I believe it's the first one. And I had actually been shown this by a friend of mine back in the States before I came to Japan. So I passed on that because I'd kind of seen all the contents and I wasn't crazy impressed about it. Here we have some Animage magazine as well as some New Type magazine. Unfortunately, I didn't see anything here that really caught my eye, but it was cool that they had such a wide selection. And then moving on here, this is where they keep all of the non-Gundam modeling books. So if that one wall wasn't enough for you guys, they've got this whole other wall where they've got stuff like this Votom's modeling book right here, which is really awesome to see. Really, really cool stuff. All kinds of stuff. Everything from, Star Wars, figures. They've got Patlabor right here, this Patlabor 3D show book. If any of you come across these 3D series done by Hobby Japan, whether it's Gundam or Patlabor or any other franchise, highly recommend picking them up. They were really onto something with those 3D books. That whole era of building, in my opinion, was fantastic. This is Blue Knight in the three-dimensional world. I'm a big fan of Blue Knight. I don't know much about it, but I just find the designs and the logo and the whole aesthetic very appealing. So I'm kind of curious to maybe pick one of these up at some point. And here, I'm just kind of panning across. You can see all the different kinds of franchises they've got here. Some Transformers ones as well. And moving over here, we've got video game art books. I was kind of on the hunt for some old school retro video game magazines, but I didn't really find any gaming magazines other than this small batch here of PlayStation magazines, which I kind of got my hopes up. I thought they were old school, but they're actually really, really new PlayStation magazines, which is fine, but I was hoping that they would be a little bit more retro. I did find one vintage magazine, and it was this Game Clip, which I'd never heard of before, but it was super expensive, I think, for a magazine, so I ended up passing on that, but it seemed pretty cool. Here, we're getting into the model kits and figures, you guys. These are a bunch of Macross figures, as well as I think there's maybe a couple of model kits mixed in there, but mostly figures. And over here, you've got various Super Robot. Again, mostly figures, but I think sometimes they mix in a model kit or two. And yeah, this Gunbuster Chogokin really caught my eye. At first I thought it was a model kit, but it ends up that it's just a figure, so I'm not as excited by that, but it's still very cool to see such a big Gunbuster suit there on display. And this boat also caught my eye. I don't know, something about the painting on the box art. I don't know, it's really drawn toward it. And here we have a bunch of resin kits. I thought these were really, really cool. A huge variety of stuff. A lot of it was hard for me to figure out what it was because I'm not familiar with a lot of the franchises, but obviously you've got like a Scope Dog there. Just really cool to see so many resin kits. And then here you've got some figures, some Evangelion stuff. Some more Evangelion stuff over here. And then moving down, you've got some robot Damashi figures, as well as just a few resin kits kind of mixed in there, which is really just, I don't know, it's kind of fun to me when you can pick through and it feels like things aren't in the right place. It feels like you're, finding a secret treasure or something sometimes. And then just some action figure there on card. So that's most of the cabinet stuff. I was really drawn to this resin kit in particular, though. I believe it's one of the Panzer World kits, and what I actually found out was that there is a Max Factory version of it, which actually looks really good, so I might end up picking up that Max Factory kit at some point, but lots of cool resin kits here to dig through. And another one, this was really cool. This was an Ifrit custom. That is a 1/100 scale conversion kit for the master grade Goof. Of course, now we do have the RE100 of that, but it's still really cool to see. Lots of different big boxed robot Damashi figures here, and this really old Dom figure kind of stood out to me. That was neat. And then here you have a display case with a bunch of metal builds in it, which is nice to see. I know you guys are always asking about metal builds. And then finally, we're getting into the toy and figure section. So there's just a few loose toys here. This one stood out to me. I thought it was a really cool kind of SD style design. Maybe something I could do for a future repaint project, but I did end up passing on that one for now. And then this one looked to me to be a little bit like a garage kit, but I think it's just a Patlabor figure. And you've got a bunch more figures here, as well as this Principality of Zeon mug cup, which I could not find on eBay. And then you've got a few more thermoses and mugs down here, just some different Gundam merchandise, which is cool to see. And this PlayStation game caught my eye. So this is a big box version of a PS1 game that comes with a Super Robot figure. You've got some more Super Robot stuff. And then here you've got the Hatsune Miku Fei Yin from Virtual On, the version Ka. And that's going to be about it for the toy section. Finally moving on to model kits. And here I just pulled out different ones that caught my eye or I thought were interesting. And starting off with this Elgheim kit, I really was drawn to the box art on this one. Just a really cool old school style painting. This kit ended up being pretty affordable and not too rare even in the United States as far as I could tell on eBay. Next up we have Brain Powered. This is a neat little kit. I did a review of this on my Vintage Gunpla channel if you guys are curious and want to check it out. One interesting thing about this kit versus some of the other versions of Brain Powered is it does come with this little Hime figure, which is really cool. And yeah, that's getting kind of expensive on eBay for some reason lately. Moving along, you've got some 30-minute missions kits, some other more modern kits, and then you've got your character kits. And here we've got a bunch of really old SD kits. I've always been a fan of the really old school artwork on these. And just some different HG kits that stood out to me. The Hammurabi. This one is, I guess it's a little bit more uncommon, but it's not hard to find. And then the Argama. I see this everywhere, but for some reason it's still a little bit expensive. You know, not super expensive, but too much for an impulse buy for me. Cool model though. And moving over here, got the Zeta Plus. I'm always looking for a Zeta Plus C1, one of the old school versions. I saw one at one point, but I passed it up. Okay, this is really cool. The HY2M hands for the Master Grade Shining and Glad Gundam. I didn't realize at the time that this is kind of rare. It's not expensive, but it's rare. Like there's almost no listings of that on eBay. Okay, here we've got the old school system weapons. I believe these were the first generation of system weapons. Interesting fact about these is they have decals painted on them, which can be a little bit problematic if you plan on painting them, but I guess cool if you don't want to paint them. And here we've got some more stuff. You've got the white base here from the EX model series. And you've got this. This really stood out to me. I've never seen this before. I could not find any results in my searches on eBay, but it's a DVD of how to build Sword Calamity Gundam that comes with a model kit, which is just so interesting. I wish Bandai would do more of these. I know people probably, I don't know if people would be interested or not, but I would be interested. Like a new model kit that comes with a Blu-ray with Meijin Kawaguchi or something on how to build it. I don't know. The Lavian Rose, that always sticks out to me. That's one I want to get eventually. Then some various master grades. Nothing too rare here. And this Atlas Gundam was really cool. I really dig the box art on this one, and I wish Bandai would do more box arts like this, where it's kind of more of a statement. Some more high grades here. And then here we've got the Draw C. This is one of my favorite designs. I feel like there's kind of a rule with me that the less it looks like a mobile suit, the more I like it. And that one's actually going for a little bit on eBay these days. And here we've got the Codename Cyclops set from the UC Hardgraph series. Such a cool series. At some point, I promise you guys I'm going to build something in the UC Hardgraph series and do a video on it. But gotta work through the backlog first. But that's a cool one. And a good price for it too. And here we've got the super big Gelgoog. This is really cool to see. I believe a modified version of this kit, I think it was the Char's Gelgoog, actually won GBWC a couple of years ago. But it's such a cool retro kit that's just absolutely gigantic and something that would be fun to mod and do some custom work on. Now here we've got this other corner of the shop where they've got all of the non-Gundam Gunpla. I know the other section had like resin kits for non-Gundam series and things like that, but there's even more of it here. Everything from car models, 5-star story stuff, just various mecha anime. You can see obviously girls model kits, just all kinds of stuff. And I found quite a few cool things here. Just panning through first, just all of the different stuff. They had so much to dig through and really good prices on the majority of them. And here they had a Panzer World Gallant kit that I had never seen before because this one is made by Wave. I know I talked about the other one earlier from Max Factory, but I did not know Wave made any kits for that series, so that was cool. And then Assault Suit Lanos. I talked about this kit in another one of my videos, which I'll link to here, where I go through a bunch of old vintage models. But I really want this kit, you guys. It's just the backlog is killing me, but I will definitely get that at some point. It's just such a cool design. And here you've got a more old school Panzer Blade model kit for the Wingle made by Takara. This one looks super old. And here you've got Robocon, which is a character from a Japanese children's TV show, a really old TV show that is really cute and funny. It's a fun watch. And here, the TEQUILLA. Guys, I can't believe I found it. I cannot believe I found it. The TEQUILLA Gunner. No, it's not the TEQUILLA Gundam, but it is an interesting looking, I guess it's not a mecha, really. I guess it is a mecha. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I think it's cool. The Aura ship Zerlernia. I see this all over the place in different Mandarakes. I think it's super common, but the box art is just so cool, and it's just such a unique, like, beetle ship design. This one I was so tempted for, the 1/24 scale Garland from Megazone 2-3. I'm a huge fan of Megazone, and I would love to get this, but the box was gigantic. And I don't know, it's hard because it's pretty expensive on eBay. And it looks like a decent model kit, maybe not the most modern or articulate, but a good one. And they had a bunch of SF3D model kits. Now you guys let me know, because I'm not a Machine and Krieger expert, but does that mean these are vintage? Definitely leave a comment and let me know. Here we have 5 Star Stories Neptune, which looks pretty cool, but I think there's other 5 Star Stories kits I'd probably want to build first. Just some various vehicles and different vintage stuff, some Macross, which is cool. And then down here you've got this little bucket of all these option parts. You've got some Armored Core stuff, and you've got just little odds and ends here. This Star Granger, and some stuff from Zoids over here. It's just little option parts you can pick up for cheap. And guys, that's pretty much gonna do it for this tour of Mandarake in Shibuya. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions on what you would have picked up, what you would have passed up on. Like, have you been to this shop? Are you now dying to go? Would you want to get some of these crazy rare resin kits? Yeah, I love hearing your opinions and talking with you guys in the comments, so please don't be shy. And again, if you enjoyed this video, if you could hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you want to hang out more, feel free to join our Discord, hang out there. And as always, appreciate you guys so much for watching. And I will be back to catch you guys in another video shortly. So thanks again, and I'll see you around. Bye.